Greetings and welcome to the Open-Minded Skeptic podcast. My name is Sharon Ann Rowland and I'm your host. On the podcast today we have Leslie Hillermann, remote viewer. Leslie is a consultant independent contractor in the field of remote viewing, and she is also an advocate for alternative healthcare. Enjoy the interview.
Was there another example then that's maybe not as successful as that, but something that was more run of the mill, I suppose, but successful, and you didn't maybe realize till later on that it was pivotal to something?
Well, my very first project was to do a 2-year projection of the social, economic, and political state of Eastern Europe.
Wow.
Well,
that's just poor, isn't it?
I just sat there and I went, really? I've just come out of my remote viewing classes, and that's my first project. It was about a 200-page project.
Wow.
And it was my first paid project. And I completed it on time and sent it in, and that was quite involved, because I even went through the stock market and did a stock market analysis of each and every area that would be in the Eastern European bloc.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that came out, I don't even remember what the results were, and I have a session summary somewhere. I did save it, but I think I was spot on. You know, I watched the Eastern Europe for 2 years, and I figured, okay, she did good. She did okay.
Yep. So that would involve obviously multiple remote viewing sessions from, on a daily basis, targeting certain industries, and certain locations. Wow, that would have been quite in depth, as well as research at the same time.
Well, I didn't even research. I basically just went through. I didn't even do the stock market research. What I did was just use the protocols, mm-hmm. and got the financial down, got the economic down, got the social and political down. If there was unrest, if there was anything else going on, and I basically went through each and every country in the Eastern European section, mm-hmm. and I thought, well, this is weird. I don't know if I'm doing it right. I didn't even know if I was doing the project right, and I was too fearful to ask, because, again, I'm dealing in a class of professionals, and I'm the housewife. I wasn't sure how to set it up, but it was a 200-page. It was a 200-page project when I sent it in.
Oh, well, I'm sure you did a very good job.
Well, I think it was thorough.
I was at a conference about 4 years ago, and we had a Skype. A gentleman joined the conference via Skype from the US, and he was military. He was the one that people refer to as remote viewer number one.
Oh, okay. Joe McMonagle, or?
Yes, that's the gentleman. Yeah, that's him.
Okay.
And yeah, Joe McMonagle, that's the gentleman. And on the conference call, he was telling us how they wanted to know what was on the other side of the moon, and he remote viewed the other side of the moon. But every time he did that, he just got like this corner of a room, and he couldn't work out what was going on. And he'd keep on persisting and doing it. And eventually it broke away, and he realized that there were creatures on the other side of the moon who lived there, and they were actually placing this boxed image in his mind to stop him from seeing where they were on the reverse side of the moon. Have you ever had anything freaky like that happen to you, where somebody's tried to block you?
Let's see. I only had an experience at the Vatican, when I was dressed as Laura Croft. There was a gentleman at one of the tables, and he was looking straight at me. Now, that didn't happen with any of the other people that I was, encountering. It was almost as if I was just a ghost going right through. But this person was different. This person was actually, I felt like they were watching me.
A remote viewer watching a remote viewer.
Yeah. I do believe that there are special people that are endowed by different governments and corporations and what have you to keep their secret, and or try to anyway. And I really do believe that there are people watching the Matrix.
Yes.
And that's what we use. That's what we call that mass consciousness thing, is the Matrix. And I do believe that is a very real thing. And if he had aliens trying to block his view, I believe him. I really do. I've never seen aliens. I've never done that, except, well, wait a minute, I take that back. The second week of my remote viewing class from Angela, she asked us to view Mars.
Oh, yes?
Yeah. And that was the first time that I actually saw like an entryway going from the surface down, and it was all cobbled. There were all stones being laid down. It was a tunnel, and it seemed like it was lit by solar. And I saw a group of alien type beings in like a silver, like a jumpsuit kind of like thing. And they were all dead. I think they were dead. And they were like outside of a door that would slide open and shut. But it looked like they just died out there. There was something, they couldn't get into the door, and they just died right out in front of the doorway. And because of the I don't know, the lack of being able to decompose, I think their bodies just have stayed there for a while, intact. Yeah, but that was the.
Was that unnerving?
Well, it was funny. That was before I started my UFO research and everything. And I have to admit that I was a little bit critical of that remote viewing session, and I didn't tell Angela about it.
Yeah.
I did not tell her about it. I guess I was afraid that she would think that I was seeing things.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. And I wish I had been more open with her, about that, but I just was too embarrassed.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, no, I don't want to share that. And the other pilot was seeing all these different, the sound chambers and all this different stuff on Mars, and it was going on, and I was sitting there just going, wow. I just saw dirt. And stones, and I didn't see a bunch of dead aliens.
No, I understand. It's I didn't tell anyone a long time after I'd had my first kind of contact, and I was fortunate though. I shared my experience with somebody else, so we both saw them at the same time. So, which was great, because it meant that if ever I had that moment of denial, I'd just ring Dave and say, "We did," and he'd go, "Yeah, okay." It was it's been really handy to have had that happen the first time, as an adult. So, but a lot of people don't have that. They see it, and then they tell a family member, and then from that point on, they're known as that one in the family, that odd one, So completely understand. Okay. Do you ever feel like you're trespassing during a remote viewing session if you are asked to kind of target a person?
There has been only one time that I felt that I was trespassing. And again, that was the Vatican.
Oh.
That was when I knew that I was dressed inappropriately and when I saw the gentleman watching me. And that was the only time that I felt that, it was highly uncomfortable for me to be there because I was being watched with what I was doing and I just didn't feel right.
So the avatar you had taken on, you felt was actually being seen by other people?
Yeah. Well, I think that that's what they would see. If they wouldn't see me, they would see the avatar.
Yeah.
And so Angelina Jolie, guys, you can't.
I would have stared.
Yeah. And since I'm far from Angelina Jolie, we don't have to worry about that. But no.
Hey, oh my God, I've just had an idea, Leslie. Maybe everybody remote views with the avatar of Elvis.
Oh.
Would that not... This would explain so much.
It would.
Everyone sees him everywhere. Maybe it's just remote viewers there picking Elvis all the time. That's funny.
Well, that's something I had thought about too when I was taught that ERV session, that ERV method. I thought, wow, when I actually go somewhere, they're actually seeing the avatar. They're not seeing me. And I thought, well, this is kind of cool. They don't have to see me, so I'm cloaked.
Yes.
Basically, even by those that would watch me or block me.
If they bumped you, could you feel that?
I think so. It just depends.
Could they hurt you?
No.
That's good to know.
I've never had any physical or spiritual repercussions from remote viewing at all.
Oh, that's
Never.
good.
Yeah, never.
Before you start a remote session, do you have like a cleansing ritual, or do you do anything? Do you wear a certain color, or a lot of people before they do like psychic sessions, they might wear white, cleanse themselves, go and have a shower, not wear makeup, no perfume, not drinking, there's a lot of things that psychic people don't do prior, or ghost hunting people, paranormal people. What with remote viewing, are there some basics? You're obviously not supposed to have taken any drugs or alcohol. I take it that's a given. Yes.
Yeah, but drugs and alcohol are a great big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
I know that some of the viewers have talked about meditation. I never meditated. I never did anything to cleanse or to prepare. I would just do what the protocol asked for: advanced visuals, personal inclemencies, write it down, get it out of the way, because the subconscious will, as soon as you write it down, it's like, oh, okay, that's fine. We've got that cleared up.
Mm-hmm.
The only time that I kind of messed up was the Himalayan rescue, where it was as if I had bonded so much and so intensely with that pilot. I've never had that happen before, and I've never had it happen since. But that was kind of inappropriate. I mean, I shouldn't have done that, but I did.
Was that your first person they set you on, though? Was that the first kind of... Yeah, so I think that's understandable. If it's the first time you were kind of set to find somebody, an actual person. So, interesting stuff. So, have you ever been well, I think the answer to this is yes. Have you ever been experimented upon to your knowledge, or perhaps you suspect that that has occurred covertly in some way?
Not as a remote viewer.
No.
I have never had any problems as a remote viewer. Remote viewing is very, to me, it's like it's a method that works. It does not entail, you know, overtly doing anything that would cause problems for anybody or anything, I don't think. It's just that one time when I was at the Vatican, I felt like I was watched. But I have never, ever, ever had any sense of experimentation just because I was a remote viewer. It happened before I became a remote viewer for the electromagnetic stuff, and that was high intensity. That was intense. And then again in 2006, when I was dealing with the former advisor to Libya in Pakistan. Now that was dangerous. That was something where most people don't understand that just because it's electromagnetic doesn't mean that it doesn't have an effect. They can stop your heart from beating if they want to.
Yeah, that's scary stuff.
Yeah, and they actually do tap into your optic nerve. They actually tap into the central nervous system. So that's scary stuff.
Is there any way that you can block that?
You have to fight it. You have to go into combat, which is what I did. In 1991, 1992, I did go into combat. It was exhausting. It was 1 year of just total exhaustion. In 2006, the former advisor to Libya on the computer, we were, also in contact on the computer. He said, "I'm not afraid to die." And I said, "Why would I kill you? I have no reason to kill you." And, and that was when I realized that, and I could start feeling the field, because I actually feel really nervous when the field is being generated, and I can sense it.
Do you hear like a whistling sound, like the sound disturbing before it happens?
I know that some people can pick up on the sound. Now, there was, in 1991, I actually heard almost something like a Tesla thing where, the switch got, or either pulled down, where it all of a sudden crackles and pops and you've got this massive thing happening. Yeah. I could hear that. Okay. But the rest of the time, it's not so much what people hear in Taos, where there's a humming or anything like that. Basically, I can see. I can usually start seeing, because the electromagnetic field awakens my clairvoyant ability, and I'm able to just tune in immediately to the source. I'll go straight to the source of the signal.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but about 50 minutes in, I started having like high-pitched noises in my ear.
Oh.
And I was wondering, I get that a lot, to be honest. It happens a lot. And I normally get very tired and go to bed or have a nap or something. But yeah, thought it was interesting that we were doing this Skyping and that happened just before. So,
Yeah, that sounds like surveillance.
Oh yeah, I'm used to it. I've actually got footage of them in their white cars at the front of my property. So,
oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's a little bit more sophisticated, and it could even be from my end too, where they want to see what I'm saying and doing and everything else.
They just have to wait till December 1.
I know, really.
Hang in there, guys. If you're listening. It'll be on YouTube December 1. Yeah.
That sounds good to me. But no, it does. It sounds like it's surveillance. And so, they're basically just listening in.
Yeah, you've got to wonder, haven't you, why? There's it's not like we're plotting anything, or we're basically just expanding people's minds to the concept of things like telepathy and out like awakening. But I suppose these are scary concepts if you want to control populations. Trying to tell yeah.
It's about information. And it's about information that has always been kind of on the hidden side. Anything
Definitely.
any kind of that can be a threat to the let's say, I think John DeSouza calls it the power elite. Um, it That's another thing about the former advisor to Libya. He actually uh, he actually was involved with UFOs.
Yeah, not surprised.
And aliens. What was really weird too was that he immediately started keeping a file on me and started watching me passively. And it always seemed to tap into everything that I was doing, seemed to know exactly what I was doing at any time, so had become friends with my friends.
Wow.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
Nothing, just living life.
I think you must have more exciting life than me.
Well, not really. I don't at all. I envy yours. You're actually doing fun things, No, but it's really strange with this because he would tell me what my daughter was doing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's unnerving.
That is unnerving. There was one point where I asked him, because I was able to do something, and this again has nothing to do with remote viewing at all, but I was actually able to see Osama bin Laden.
Wow.
Yeah, and
the real one.
Abbottabad. Well, I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure, but I saw somebody that looked like Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad.
Yeah, I think he had a lot of clones, didn't he? He had about 6 or 7 people that looked like him.
Yeah, it could have been one of the lookalikes. I don't know, but I did see somebody in Abbottabad, and at that time too, I was kind of angry at what was happening, and I took all the energy, which I'm famous for doing, took all the energy towards, that they were directing towards me, and directed it back at, and I blew a transformer out in Abbottabad. Yeah, it was.
Was that the end of it for him though? That would have been a warning.
No, it was. He he basically, what he did is he sent me on the computer a little guy, a little what emoji or whatever, who lifted his hat, tipping his hat off. And he said something. It was a veiled threat. You never know when you're going to die, kind of thing, or some weird thing. It was kind of like a veiled threat. And I asked him. I said, "Am I alien?" Because he'd been watching me for years. I said, "Am I alien?" And he said, "No." He said, "You're not alien. You're just sensitive to the feels." So that was interesting. To me, that meant that he knew the aliens. Yeah. And I think that there is a certain particular group of people, that are in power, that have actually met the aliens.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's not just there's not. I mean, I personally have had contact with 2 different types of alien, and the greys and kind of a mantis-looking being, and they both are far superior to us. They're more telepathic in their understanding. It was I'll tell you about my second one with the mantis. It was hilarious, actually. I'd done a CE5 the night prior. You know what a CE5 is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd spent like the night prior from about 8 o'clock through to about 3 a.m. in the morning, sky watching and doing the CE5 protocols and that. And then I'd gone home, had a short sleep, and then I was in the car to go to pick my daughter up from somewhere. and I pulled into the petrol station to fill up. So just a normal petrol station. And I'm filling up my car with petrol, standing there. And when you've been meditating for that amount of time, you kind of are lifted above yourself, and you're kind of in this zone here rather than in your body. So I'm still floating up here, and I turn around when I hear a motorbike pull in next to me or behind my car. And as the guy pulls in, he's all in black leather and black helmet, black bike, everything is black. And it's quite a busy station because everybody is kind of milling around and just walking past him and not saying or seeing anything. But I'm looking at him and I'm seeing the thinnest arms and legs I've ever seen in my life. And I'm going, whoa, he's really skinny, like super, super, super skinny. And then he takes off his helmet and it's a mantis. But people are walking past him, not seeing him and I think I could see him because I just been doing that intense meditation, and I was still up here. I wasn't actually back here yet. So I'm filling up my car with petrol. I'm just smiling at him, like, and checking him out because my first mantis, as you do. Yeah, oh, this is kind of cool, mantis, And I'm at that point I've already had contact. I've already interviewed a lot of people. I'm about 10 years in here, so I don't need to be grabbing at a camera. I'm just at that. Yeah, this is kind of cool. I love my life the way it is, and how things like this are happening now, and I can actually see them. So I'm just enjoying it. Anyway, he's kind of looking around, and people are just walking past and not really seeing him. They're seeing whatever he's projecting, I think, to the facade. And then suddenly he sees me smiling, pumping, and I went, and he telepathically, without realizing it, says, can you see me? He actually felt, and I telepathically back go, yeah, but it's cool, dude. It's cool. I'm used to this stuff. I get, see a lot of alien craft and that. And anyway, and he's absolutely miffed. He's like so put out that whatever he had projected wasn't working on me. And then suddenly I'm in my car. It's like, and I'm 100 meters up the road in the car. He had completely mind whammied me. I cannot remember putting the pump back, putting the cap on, going inside and paying. And I'm 100 meters down the road driving, and it's the wrong way. I'm actually, and I'm just thinking, what an arsehole. What an arsehole alien.
Oh my gosh.
So that's weird.
That made me laugh because, it's like me remote viewing as Angelina Jolie. And I thought, wow, they do that. They do that. They really do that. They project an image of what they want everybody to believe. And because, humankind just operates mostly on a normal everyday level, they just go ahead and they're amongst us and doing their thing, but they're projecting,
whatever. You can normally spot them. Like, I've done a little bit of alien watching if you go to shopping centers, they're the best place, and you just sit down, and just kind of look around. You can spot them everywhere now. They're the really, really odd people who don't know quite how to walk properly, or they're it's quite a bit of a skill, actually. And I usually find if I'm sitting in places like that and doing this, someone will actually come and sit and have the most bizarre conversation with me and then take off. It's just, it's like I attract them. So.
Oh, well, neat. Well, they may be very aware of you, being
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
I'm sure they are. I'm also allergic to fluoride. So the only water that goes into my body is distilled with minor minerals added. And I think the fluoride has an effect on other people. It calcifies their pineal glands, and I found I started having more visual contact and being able to see things a lot clearer once the fluoride wasn't in my system anymore. And that's probably the last 8 years since I got rid of the fluoride. So made a huge difference to what I can and can't see, and what I can sense and what I can't sense too. Like with the EMF, I know every time they're turning it on. It's just, I actually start talking to them, and I just say, really, now, I've got so much work to do. Can you just surveil me in about an hour? I'm just going to get this stuff done. And, sure enough, I'll actually have another squeak and they'll be gone, So it's interesting, isn't it? You can, initially I used to feel a little silly talking to the air, but then I started to realize that, they were stopping doing stuff when I did actually ask. So I think you're right. I think it's when they become aware of you, the relationship changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So ETs and all that sort of thing. I don't know how many there are out there, Leslie, but I know I've met 2 types, and the first one was a shared experience, and both times it's been telepathic though, so I don't know if they're all telepathic. But the fact that they are makes me feel that we are very, very lower down on the intelligence rung. I think although I have a feeling that we could be telepathic if we developed, or I think we've got that ability, but not a lot of us. In fact, I think what you do, the remote viewing, and what psychic clairvoyant and all that, I think that all comes from this telepathic, this set of abilities, which we all have. But I don't know, some people turn them on by accident when they're in an accident, and other people like yourself, you sat there with the Zener cards with your grandmother.
Yeah.
That might have been how you switched yours on.
Right.
I think everyone is different how it kind of comes to them. I think it's very rare that somebody's born that way though.
Well, that's all for our podcast. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a positive review over on iTunes for the Open-Minded Skeptic. My team and I look forward to entertaining you once again in our next podcast. To check when our next podcast is, simply head over to www.tomspod.com. That's www.tomspod.com.